Christine Dacera was born on April 13, 1997. She was a flight attendant from the Philippines, working for PAL Express, a regional subsidiary of Philippine Airlines. Christine was the second of 4 sisters in her family. She graduated with honors, earning a degree in communication from the University of the Philippines Mindanao in Davao City. Although Christine's family lived in General Santos, she moved to Manila to pursue her career. Christine was a talented and strikingly beautiful young woman. She took part in several beauty pageants across the country and won multiple awards. In 2019, she moved to Manila to work for Philippine Airlines. Christine's friends and colleagues described her as a cheerful, warm, and friendly person in everyday life, but serious, focused, and professional when it came to her job. On December 31, 2020, Christine asked her mother for permission to celebrate New Year's Eve with her close group of friends instead of coming home. Christine had many friends, but she was especially close to a tight-knit group of 5 from the LGBT community. Christine and this group often partied and went out together, and this was meant to be just another one of those nights. Christine's 5 friends were Rommel, who was also her co-worker, Clark, Valentine, Jigo, and John. They booked room 2209 at the City Garden Grand Hotel in Makati City to celebrate New Year's Eve together. John was the first to check in at the hotel at around 11 a.m. on December 31st. Christine arrived around noon, and the rest of the group checked in gradually over the next few hours. Rommel later invited 5 more friends to join them: Ray, Louis, Mark, Jamir, and Edward. All of them were also men from the LGBT community. Meanwhile, another group of 13 people checked into room 2207. Right next door, some members of the 2 groups happened to be mutual friends. Around 10 p.m., the group kicked off their party. Christine drank hard liquor like tequila, mixing it with Coke, even though this was during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic and gatherings were strictly prohibited. It seemed the group was close friends with John Halili, the hotel manager. Because of this, John bent the rules and allowed his friends to throw the party inside the hotel. At around 1:45 a.m., after finishing his shift, John also joined the party. At 11:21 a.m., security camera footage from the 22nd floor hallway showed Christine and her group leaving their room and heading over to room 2207. At 11:38 p.m., Christine and her group returned to their room. Christine looked cheerful, holding her shoes in one hand and a glass of alcohol in the other. Later, Valentine explained that they had gone over to room 2207 because a few of their mutual friends were there. While hanging out, they played a game called Hip Hop Hooray, and Christine ended up winning after returning to room 2209. They started taking photos and recording videos to post on social media. At around 12:30 a.m., Christine called her family to wish them a Happy New Year and spent a few minutes chatting with her mother. At 2:50 a.m., Valentine and Christine went over to room 2207 again. Meanwhile, a hotel staff member delivered an extra mattress to room 2209. Just 2 minutes later, at 2:52 a.m., both Christine and Valentine returned to their room. Christine made the first move and kissed Valentine, and it was clear by then that she was drunk. From 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., Christine went back and forth between room 2209 and room 2207 several times, but she never stayed in 2207 for long. Every 10 minutes or so, one of her friends from room 2209 would go over to bring her back. At 4:13 a.m., John went over to room 2207 once again to bring Christine back. This time, he carried her in his arms, even though she was clearly drunk. Christine still seemed conscious enough to press the keycard and open the door to their room. At 4:39 a.m., Valentine and Christine went over to room 2207. They returned to their room at 4:52 a.m., and both of them seemed to be in high spirits. At 5:05 a.m., Rommel went over to room 2207 to bring Christine back to their room. The two of them seemed to be laughing and joking playfully as they walked together. At 6:23 a.m., this was the last time Christine was ever seen on camera. In the footage, Valentine was carrying her into the room, while it was Christine herself who opened the door. At 7:23 a.m., several people from room 2207 began leaving the hotel. By 9 a.m., some of the friends from room 2209 also started checking out and leaving. By 10 a.m., Rommel woke up to use the bathroom and saw Christine lying in the bathtub. Rommel tried to wake her, telling her she should move to the bed so she could rest more comfortably. Christine was still breathing, but her eyes were closed. Rommel said she looked exhausted, but she gestured with her hand, as if telling him to let her sleep. At least, that's how Rommel remembered it. He also said her hand was resting on her stomach at the time. Rommel brought a blanket and a pillow into the bathroom for Christine, then went back to bed. By noon, Rommel got up and went to the bathroom to wake Christine because it was almost time to check out. That's when he realized her lips had turned blue and she was no longer breathing. Rommel panicked and called everyone over. At that moment, only 5 people were still at the hotel: Jigo, John, Rommel, Valentine, and Clark. They immediately pulled Christine out of the bathtub and began performing CPR on her. Jigo called the hotel staff and requested an ambulance. All of them were terrified and in a state of panic. The hotel staff rushed up to the room to check and brought a wheelchair with them. However, the wheelchair was small and didn't have footrests. By that time, Christine's body had already gone stiff, so it took them a while to struggle and finally get her onto the chair. Christine was taken to the hotel's clinic, but the doctor there wasn't able to revive her. They then rushed her to Makati Medical Center, but it was already too late. At 5 p.m., the hospital officially pronounced Christine dead. The next day, on January 2, 2021, Christine's body was transferred to the Rizal Funeral Home in Pasay City at around 9 a.m. for a forensic examination. The autopsy report concluded that the cause of death was a ruptured aortic aneurysm, which caused her aorta to burst. According to the autopsy report, Christine had not taken any drugs or intoxicating substances. However, they did find 150 milliliters of dark-colored fluid in her stomach. The forensic examination also confirmed that no traces of semen were found on Christine's body. Her underwear contained only her own DNA. A genital examination revealed a tear in the hymen, but this was an old injury that had occurred long before and was already in the process of healing, not a recent wound. The autopsy report also revealed multiple bruises on Christine's right arm, right thigh, right ankle, and right foot. Additionally, there was a fresh abrasion on her left thigh. One particularly unusual detail noted was an acupuncture mark on the palm of Christine's right hand. On January 4, 2021, the Philippine police announced to the media that they had already solved the case. They claimed it was a case of gang rape and stated that traces of semen had been found on Christine's body. This statement left the public deeply confused, as it completely contradicted the forensic examination results released just the day before. The forensic examiner had clearly concluded that there were no signs Christine had been sexually assaulted. Despite this, the chief of the Philippine National Police publicly announced that they had arrested 3 men believed to be suspects in a rape-slay case. Those 3 suspects were John Dela Serna, Rommel Deluro, and John Halili. Meanwhile, everyone who had been at the hotel that night insisted they had never harmed Christine, especially her close group of friends from room 2209. They all stated that they were gay and had no attraction to women. They also explained that they had been friends with Christine for a long time and saw her as one of their own, like family, with no romantic or sexual interest whatsoever. Even so, the police colonel insisted that the suspects might have used force to assault Christine. He publicly stated that a man is still a man especially when drunk, even if they identified as gay. This controversial remark sparked outrage and divided public opinion. Some people believed the police and claimed Christine's gay friends deserved the death penalty. Others, however, condemned the police for their sloppy and unprofessional handling of the investigation, pointing out how the forensic results said one thing, while the police narrative claimed something completely different. The case was filled with unanswered questions, yet the police hurriedly declared it solved. Meanwhile, another group of people cruelly blamed Christine for what happened. They claimed she had dressed too provocatively and drank too much alcohol, accusing her of failing to protect herself. On January 4th, a wave of hashtags flooded social media, slogans like #JusticeForChristine, #StopVictimBlaming, and #ProtectDrunkGirls quickly spread across the internet. The Philippine police also faced heavy criticism when it was revealed that they had embalmed Christine's body before conducting the forensic examination. This decision was highly controversial, as embalming can seriously affect the accuracy of toxicology tests and other forensic procedures. Police Major Michael admitted that he had ordered Christine's body to be embalmed without her family's consent, however. He explained that it was part of a new policy implemented after the COVID-19 pandemic, a regulation he claimed he was required to follow. Christine's family did not believe that their daughter had died from a natural health condition. They refused to accept the official autopsy report and demanded that the police conduct a second forensic examination. Christine's mother also filed a lawsuit against the police for their careless and unprofessional handling of the case. She firmly believed that the bruises on Christine's arms and legs were clear evidence that her daughter had been assaulted. However, Christine's group of friends explained that she had been drinking heavily that night, from 3:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Christine was stumbling around and vomiting repeatedly in the bathroom. They said she spent a long time kneeling on the bathroom floor, which could explain the bruises on her knees. They explained that the bruise on Christine's thigh might have happened when she was stumbling and trying to climb into the bathtub. As for the abrasion on her thigh, they believed it occurred when they were struggling to lift her onto the wheelchair, since Christine's body had already stiffened. Her thigh rubbed against the metal armrest of the chair, causing the scrape. Even so, Christine's mother refused to believe these explanations. She insisted that her daughter was young, healthy, and in excellent physical condition. On top of that, because Christine worked as a flight attendant, she underwent regular medical checkups. The airline would never have allowed her to work if she wasn't in good health. Christine's mother also pointed out the security footage showing Christine kissing Valentine before they entered the room. She believed that this might have provoked ill intentions from the men around them that night. Meanwhile, Valentine insisted that it was Christine who had made the first move and kissed him. He said it was just a fleeting, drunken moment and meant nothing more than that. In one piece of footage, Christine was seen being carried back to the room by John. When asked about it in an interview, John explained that they had to go over to room 2207 multiple times to bring Christine back because she was too drunk and had started vomiting there. John said Christine suddenly collapsed and couldn't stand, so he had no choice but to carry her. Christine's friends insisted they only wanted to help her and never had any intention of harming her. They also firmly believed that Christine hadn't been assaulted by the men in room 2207, because although she went over there several times, she was never alone in that room for more than 10 minutes. On top of that, each time they brought her back, Christine still seemed normal, and if something had happened to her in room 2207, she would have definitely told them. On January 5th, the Philippine National Bureau of Investigation officially took over the case. They conducted a second autopsy on Christine's body, collecting tissue samples and attempting to extract fluids from her internal organs in hopes of finding a clear answer to whether she had been sexually assaulted. On January 6th, Christine's 3 friends were released after the National Bureau of investigation ruled out foul play as the cause of her death. After conducting 2 separate autopsies, forensic experts concluded that the cause of death was a ruptured aortic aneurysm. Christine had suffered cardiopulmonary failure, which ultimately led to the rupture of her aorta. The official medical legal report released on January 11th also revealed that Christine's heart weighed 500 grams, while a normal heart typically weighs around 300 grams. This finding indicated that Christine had been suffering from chronic hypertension for years, a condition that had gone undiagnosed in time. This condition had caused her heart to enlarge beyond normal size. Aortic aneurysms are typically more common in older adults and are often the result of atherosclerosis. However, in rare cases, it can also occur in young people as a complication from other underlying health issues. In Christine's case, her blood pressure spiked dangerously high inside her aorta, gradually weakening it until it ruptured. Hypertension can cause various symptoms like fatigue, nausea, and profuse sweating. It's likely that Christine and her friends mistook these warning signs for effects of heavy drinking and a hangover, which is why they didn't take her to a clinic in time. On April 27th, police officially cleared all 11 men who were at the hotel with Christine that night of rape charges. Although Christine's family refused to believe the forensic findings and filed multiple lawsuits, authorities stated they did not have enough evidence to charge her friends with any crime. More than a week after her passing, Christine was brought back to her hometown and laid to rest at Forest Lake Memorial Park in General Santos City. Over a year after Christine's death, her group of friends appeared on a televised interview program. They shared how their lives had completely fallen apart since that tragic day. Even though they had been cleared of all charges, they still struggled to find new jobs to this day. Many people continue to attack and mercilessly insult them online. Among them, it was said that Jigo suffered the most. He had to gradually sell off the properties left by his late mother and fell into a long battle with depression, even though their names and careers had been destroyed over a crime they didn't commit. The group said they were determined to pick themselves up and start over. Through all the pain and chaos, they realized the true importance of family and genuine friends. The pain Christine's family had to endure was unimaginable, and it seemed that her family could never truly accept the reason behind her passing. Happiness is fragile, and life is unpredictable. May we always cherish every single day we live as if it were our last.